Well, basically, the only thing I had to do for my audition for Pink Floyd was sing Run Like Hell. Like, David didn't actually even want to hear me play bass. He wasn't particularly well disposed to bass players, certainly Pink Floyd bass players at that time. That's probably why he just said, I don't care. His attitude was kind of, well, if you're a professional bass player, then you can do this, anyone can do that. But can you sing Run Like Hell? Which was brilliant, because that was about the only thing I could do at that time. I'd actually been up all night, I'd completely blown it. And the way I was feeling, I was actually perfectly equipped to sing Run Like Hell. So, yeah, I think it was an attitude thing. It's what David was more worried about than anything else, you know. What's interesting is that, I mean, I'm not the best singer in the world, and the fact that it's Gary and I sharing it, which is quite good, because it means that you're not suddenly the singer, you know, so you don't have to suddenly you know, worry about going to bed and having lemon and honey all the time, and that's what I'm going, me. But also, the one thing I would say, the fact that I did a one-man show for years, I did my sort of comedy show, that was great preparation for this, because it's, you know, because a lot of, you know, being a singer isn't just singing, it's carrying that weight. I suppose the biggest worry would be someone at this late time of life to suddenly start singing with a band and go, oh my God, this is what have I been doing my whole life? This is where I should have been. Like, I've wasted everything. And I don't feel like that at all. I feel like, wow, this is fun, and this is a great thing to be doing now, but, you know, but that's who I am, you know, so. Do you know what? Well, a lot of it was basically I'd run out of ideas. I'd run out of work. I was having a terrible time. It was a passing gift, if I'm honest, from a friend of mine. I had a very, very dear friend who died suddenly and unexpectedly. And it was one of those things, one of those lessons you learn going through life, is that when my friend died, it's like I didn't realise how much I loved him until he died, you know, and it really hurt. And I felt absolutely compelled to give a eulogy at his funeral. It was great. And it was because one of the things about this guy, Adam Shankid was his name, was he was so funny, just so funny, and I just so wanted to share my experience of just how funny this guy was, because I also thought his funeral had to have some wit in it. You know, you've got to find the joy, haven't you, in everything. And it was giving that eulogy, I suddenly thought, God, I really like this. And I think I should do it. I think I should go. So that was the inspiration for me to then want and go and do stand-up. So what's beautiful is that was this passing gift from my friend. He gave me this, you know, his end gave me this whole new start. It isn't. The podcast came from this band. This came from the first European tour we did, when we were on the bus, and I had a box set of The Old Grey Whistle Test, which is the classic English TV show from the 70s and 80s, which was an album show, so it was all sort of proper bands. And we used to watch these, and we'd all just talk about them, you know, and what was great, because we all had stories and stuff about the various acts, and of course Nick would know quite a lot of them, we'd know some of them. And we loved talking about it, and it was, you know, that's where we just suddenly thought, why don't we do this as a thing, you know? And then we suddenly realised that between us, we had enough people in our address book to get started. And now it's like nearly 200 episodes later. Yeah. The first bass I ever had was a jazz bass. And I mean, it wasn't a jazz bass, it was a K. I've still got it. In fact, it's on the wall in my studio. It's made of plywood, and it's a really cheap Japanese copy, but it's still fat. And in fact, I've had it made fretless. And I think there's probably a thing of the first thing you ever pick up is what it is. And there's also, you know, I haven't got the biggest hands in the world. And I think once you got used to that neck, you know, other necks will always seem a bit wide to me. And it's the two pickups. There's something about that combination of two pickups. I love the bite and I love the growl of it. I still don't quite get precisions. I still, you know, I have this long-running thing, especially with David Gilmour, who literally thinks the precision is the only bass that ever should have been made. The precision is one of those things where I love how it sounds in amongst everything, but not so much on its own, you know. And I think it's more for people who play with a pick. It's obviously not the precision, it's obviously me. Whereas with the jazz, you got that it's that growl which ultimately comes to, it's that thing that, you know, I guess I first noticed with Jacko. You know, it's just that a jazz can sound so kind of modern and hi-fi, but, you know, but then it's also the bass solo of my generation is a jazz bass. I still have no idea how the fuck you make a jazz bass sound like that. We've talked about, ever since, it goes back to David Gilmour's 2006 tour, because Mark's always had a thing about Wem, and it's always been a thing we've kind of joked about, because Pink Floyd had this great association with Wem, and, you know, because also you've got, you know, Wem are responsible for so much. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily get the cue, you know, invented the concept of monitoring, the invention of, you know, things getting bigger, apart from there was Marshall with the amps, but then I think because Pink Floyd used to use so much Wem stuff, so I had cabinet, it was actually, no, Phil Taylor, David's tech, and our stage manager, puts Wem logos on my Ashdown speakers. It was a cheeky, funny little thing. And then Mark, he'd always talked about building something, because, you know, Pink Floyd used to use so much Wem, and I think Roger used to use a Wem PA amp at some point as a bass amp. So we just talked about this idea, and a lot of it was just kind of, and once this band happened, you know, I thought it'd be so great just aesthetically, just because, you know, to have something that looked, because there's one thing that I've got to, that Ashdown have, you know, Mark and Dan have always been so good at is design. You know, the stuff always looks so cool. And so it's always worth taking ideas to them. So a lot of the idea was just aesthetic. And so it was the idea of coming up with something, because there isn't something, you know, that with that classic look. And so this is kind of, I mean, it's somewhere between like a Wem PA amp and the old Selmer treble and bass amp. And then obviously there's some stuff, I mean, the valve on it, for instance, has got a lot more bite than you get on an ABM valve, and it's fantastic. And in fact, this amp in particular has more bite than even on my other Interstellars, so and it's proved a popular amp. It's a great size, you know, it's a perfect amount of power for what I want.
Strange hobby, collecting clothes.